Hey guys, and welcome to this program tutorial on the C programming language. So here what we want to do is create the initials program. So basically we want to take in a user's full name and then return the initials of that user. So let's go ahead and get started. So first I'm going to write a description of what this program does. And again, this program prints out the initials of someone's full name, and I also want to do it in all capitals. So all capital letters. So let's go ahead and create the usage of the program. How is it going to be used? So first we'll ask the user, please enter your full name or your name. Maybe I just put name. And then maybe they'll put something in there like Tommy Pickles. And then we want to print out your initials are TP. So notice that although they didn't put in capital T and capital P, we're still going to print out the capital T and capital P for their initials. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's initialize the libraries. So there's a few libraries that we know that we're going to need, and that's going to be the stdio.h library for input and output. So this right here will have the function fgets, which we're going to use to scan in the user's full name. It has the printf function to print out, do print statements, things like that. And then we're also going to need string. We're going to need string.h. Also, something else that this stdio has is standard in. So we'll probably be using this with the fgets function. Okay, so the string.h library, it has the string length function to get the length of a string, and we will also need our C type, our character type library. So it has a lot of functions for doing things with characters, manipulating characters, but specifically this has our toUpper function, which we will use to make our characters in uppercase letter. Okay, so now I'm going to declare our function that we're going to use to return or to print out the initials of the full name. So it's not going to return anything, it's going to be void, and I'm going to call it get initials. Okay, and now I need to tell it what parameters to take in, and I just want to take in a string. So that's char star, and I'm going to call that string name. So that's the name of the user, their full name. And now let's create the main function. Maybe return 0. And again, what we want to do is we want to print, please enter your name. So I'm just going to copy that there and create my printf statement, and then paste that inside the printf statement. So now we get to ask the user to enter their name. Maybe I will put full name. Okay. Now, let's see, enter your full name. Put that up here too. Okay. So now we need to scan in this user's name. Well, actually, here I have it going to a new line. So let me go ahead and put a new line here as well. And here we are just asking the user for his or her full name. Now what we want to do is we want to get the user's input, aka their full name. Okay, and again we're going to do that using the fgets function, and the fgets function takes in a string, so it's going to take in name. Well, I don't have a name variable yet, so let me go ahead and create that as well. So we need a string called name, and it's going to hold 31 characters. So here we are declaring a string for a user's name, assuming the name doesn't exceed 31 characters. Okay, so now we can use the name variable. So it needs a name, and then it takes in an integer, and then it takes in a file pointer. So name, comma, the integer is just the size of name, and our file pointer is the standard input, stdin. Okay, so this right here will scan in the name of the user into our variable called name here. So very similar to the scanf function. If you remember scanf, something like %s, and then you have maybe an ampersand, and then name. Except for this right here will give us the it won't just give us a string, a single string. If you put a space in the scanf here, it's only going to scan in just that one string. So if I have a name such as Tommy space pickles, then it's only going to record Tommy, I believe. So let's go ahead and I'm not going to check that, but that's if I recall, that's exactly what happens. So I always use fgets because this will give me that whole line. It'll give me Tommy space and then pickles as one string. Okay. So next up, what we want to do is print the initials. So we do another printf, and we want to print this. Your initials are, and actually I want this to be a capital Y. Okay, so your initials are, and then we're going to print the initials. I see I have a little space here, so I'm going to put a space in the printf statement too. All right, so now let's actually work on the function. And this function we're going to call later right here to print out the initials. So first up, I'm going to need a variable to iterate through so that we can iterate through the string for each character. So I'm just going to call it I, and I'll set it equal to 0. Now, if the string length is greater than 0, so that's our name. The string length is our name, right? If that's greater than 0, then we know that there is at least one character at index 0. Okay? And so what we want to do with that character is we want to make it an uppercase. So for example, if our string, let me put an example here. If our string was, again, Tommy pickles, or let's just do Tommy. If our string was Tommy, then our string length here would be what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. And so we know that we have at least one character here at index 0. And even if our string was just a T, then we know our string length is 1, so we have at least one character, and that's all that I'm checking for so far. But what I also want to check for is I want to make sure that that first character is an alphanumeric character as well. So let's continue with this. And if that character, that first character, is alphanumeric, meaning, you know, it's a letter, then it must be the first letter for the initials. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this if statement. If the length of name is greater than 0 and is alpha numeric, so we're going to use the is alpha function from our C type. So actually, let me put that here as well. Is alpha. We're getting it from the C type library. And we have to check a specific character here. So is alpha at position 0. That's what we want to know, if that's alphanumeric. And if it is, then we're going to print that character, which is at position 0 of name. Okay, so let's at least test this, what we have so far. So I'm just going to copy the function here, and I'm going to paste it right here. And I'm going to take out that char pointer. And luckily for us, our variable is called name, so I don't have to change anything in the parameter. Just keep it name as well. So it's getting the name from this variable here. And let's give it a run. 1F gets from incompatible pointer types. I get a few warnings here. That's not good. But let's continue for now. Please enter your full name. So right now I'm just going to enter Tommy. And it says your initials are, and it doesn't give us back anything yet. So why not? Let's see. I was expecting to get at least a lowercase t, and I don't see that at all here. So let's see what's going on. Ah, I see what's going on. And that's probably why I have all these warnings. When I copied the function here, I copied that void, and I did not mean to do that. So now it should be get initials. Now let's run this. And let's type in Tommy. And so now I get a T, which is good. Let's still get these warnings here. Let's see, expected char pointer, but argument is of type char pointer pointer. Yes, yeah, right. So when I declared a string for a user, I made it a char pointer pointer, and we just want it to be a char name size 31. So let's run this one more time. Okay, so now let's do Tommy. And so your initials are T. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. That was a mistake for the char pointer. So this is basic. Name is already a char pointer now. Name is a char pointer. Okay, so we're going to continue. What we want is the initials for the full name. So when I type in Tommy Pickles, I'm still only getting T, but that's because I only told it to print a T. Also, I want it to be uppercase, so let's start with uppercase. And to do that, again, I can use the toUpper function. And just place the character inside of that function. And that should handle that. So now I type in Tommy, and we get capital T. Alrighty, we're almost there. So now let's go through the rest of the characters, and we're going to make a few assumptions. One assumption is that when they enter in their full name, such as Tommy Pickles, that there's a space in between each of their names. So I say Tommy space Pickles space Jones. And it's very possible that maybe they put more than one space as well. So I'm going to account for that as well in the next few lines of code. So while the current character in name does not equal the last character in the string, which again our string is name, we want to go through each character of the string. Okay, so there's a few ways we could check for this. So I'm going to create a while loop, and I'm going to say while name at position I does not equal this character here, which is the \0 character. That's basically the enter character, which when we scan in fgets, we also get that enter character as well. Another way to do this is just to use the string length function. So I'm gonna put note here. Could have. Oh, let's make sure that's a comment. Note that you could have used I less than or equal to the string length of name instead of um, name at position I not equal to this character here. So just showing you guys another way that you can loop through this string. All right, and of course our I will have to increment each time. So here we're going to increment I by 1 just so we can go iterate through the loop. Okay, so right now we'll be able to go through every single character and name as I increments by 1 each time. So what we want to check now is we want to check if the next character that we're looking at is a space or if it's a letter. So let's go ahead and write that. So if the character is a space, then print the next character after that. So again, to do this, we could just use the isSpace function from the C-type library, and we put in name at position I, and isSpace returns 0 if it's not a space, and it returns another number otherwise, I believe. So I'm gonna say if isSpace does not equal 0, so that means that the character is a space. Then what we want to do is we want to print the next character, right? And this is the same thing like here. So I'm just going to copy that. And instead of that index 0, it's going to be index I. Okay, and then I is going to increment. Let's give this a run. All right. Let's try Tommy Pickles. So it looks like I'm just getting the T. That's not good. So why are we just getting the T now? Let's see. Printing here, %C. So if the character is a space, then we want to print the next character after that. So is space name I does not equal 0. So it's saying that the character is a space, or I'm sorry, the 0 indicates that the character is not a space. So if is space equals 0, then we're saying that it's not that the character is not a space. So right here, what we're actually checking for, I see I did my logic wrong. Is space not equal to 0 is saying that the character is a space. So I don't want to print the character if it is a space. I want to print the next character. So I just have to do +1 here. And let's run this. Let's type in Tommy Pickles. So now we get TP, like we expected. And let's run this again, and let's try Tommy Pickles Jones, and we get TPJ. Perfect. So that's looking much, much, much better. Now, again, I want to account for the case where maybe the user puts in more than one space, right? So if I have Tommy and I have a space here and I put one more space and then Pickles, you see that we get something that looks a little funkier. So T space P. So to account for this, all we have to do is loop through all of the spaces for human input error. So we just do a while loop, and I say while is space name at position I, while it is a space and I is less than or equal to the length of our string name, then we're going to increment I by 1. So we're just going to keep going to the next one. And now I no longer need that I plus 1, I just need the I. And this should handle our scenario before. So Tommy Pickles space Jones. So we get TPJ just like we wanted. So perfect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's really it. And again, I'm very glad I got a lot of those errors. You can see how you sometimes you get errors and you have to work through them. It's not a problem at all. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave likes, please leave comments, questions. Don't forget to subscribe. Again, thanks for watching, and I see you all in the next video.